Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn a cool crochet stitch called the block stitch. This stitch is so much fun and is absolutely beautiful when combined with different colors. It's also the featured stitch in my upcoming design, the rainbow baby blanket. So if you're ready, let's get started with this tutorial. To get started with the block stitch, you're going to need two different colors. Now you don't have to use the stitch with two colors, but if you want to see the contrasting effect, then that's what I recommend. I'm going to be using 2 balls of Lion Brand's 24/7 cotton and a 4.5mm hook. You will also need scissors and a tapestry needle. To get started with this tutorial, I'm going to create a chain of 22. Now I'm just creating a small swatch to show you how the block stitch works. But if you're using the stitch to create something larger, like a blanket, then make sure you create your foundation chain in multiples of 3 plus 1. All that means is to chain 3, then continue adding 3 until you reach your desired length. Then just add 1 more chain at the end. Now to get started with our first row, we're going to single crochet into the second chain from our hook. So this is our first chain and here's our second chain. So single crochet into that second chain, and this is also known as a double crochet in the UK. Now single crochet into the next chain, and you'll have 2 single crochet at the beginning. So now we're going to chain 2, skip 2 chains, and single crochet into the next chain. So this is the 1 chain, 2 chain, and 3rd chain. Chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, so 1, 2, and single crochet into the next chain. Now just continue this pattern down the row. So we'll chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, and single crochet into the next chain. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, and single crochet into the next. You should end up with 1 more chain at the end of your row, and we're going to single crochet into that last chain. That way you have 2 single crochet at the end and 2 single crochet at the beginning. So this is what your first row should look like. Now because we do have a few color changes in this tutorial, you could create a seamless color change at the end of this row to start your new color, and I'll show you how to do that here. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to tie off my yarn here and add on my new color. So to do that, I'm going to snip my yarn, tie it off, pull tight. Now I'm going to create a slip knot with my new color, insert my hook into that last stitch that we created. Then I'm going to grab the slip knot from my new color and pull this knot through. And then for row 2, we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Now this chain 3 counts as a stitch. So we have our 2 single crochet here. We're going to skip this next single crochet and place 3 double crochet into our first chain 2 space. So we're inserting our hook into this space and creating a double crochet. We're not crocheting into any particular stitch, we're just crocheting into each space. So place 3 double crochet into that first chain 2 space. So here we have our chain 3 and then our 3 double crochet into that first chain 2 space. Now skip this next single crochet and place 3 more double crochet into this next chain 2 space. Okay, so this is what it starts to look like, and you will be placing 3 double crochet into each chain 2 space down the row. So if you started with the same amount of chains as me, you should have 6 3 double crochet clusters. And now we have ended with 2 single crochet as our last 2 stitches. So we're going to skip this next single crochet and double crochet into the last stitch. And again, you could create your seamless color change here to go back to your next color, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to tie off my yarn. Now to start my next row, I'm going to again insert my hook into that last stitch that we created, grab my new yarn, create a slip knot, and grab that slip knot, pull it tight, and then pull it through. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to single crochet into that very first stitch there. And then we're going to single crochet in between this double crochet and this first double crochet of the cluster. So just right in between there, not into any particular stitch. Now chain 2 and single crochet in between the next 2 double crochet clusters. Chain 2, single crochet in between the next 2 clusters. So again, we're not going into any particular stitch, we're just going in between those clusters. Chain 2 into the next chain 2 clusters, and just repeat the same pattern down the row. And once you reach the end of the row, you'll have your last cluster and the chain 3 from the beginning of row 2. So we're going to chain 2, single crochet in between the last double crochet of the cluster and the chain 3. So just in that space there, and then we're going to single crochet again into that same space. And there you have row 3. Now again, I'm going to tie off my work and add my new color. So for the block stitch, all we're doing is repeating rows 2 and row 3. So again, for row 4, we're going to repeat row 2, and that was to chain 3 and place 3 double crochet clusters into each chain 2 space. We're skipping over each single crochet and just creating our clusters underneath this chain 2 space. So we're inserting our hook into this space here. If you want, keep crocheting until you reach row 13 and you'll have created your very own project out of this practice swatch. I'll meet you back at the end of row 13. By the way, if you have a better way of attaching your yarn at the beginning of a row, by all means, do what you are used to doing or what you're comfortable with doing. I just prefer to tie off my work and add on a new color this way because it ensures that each of my ends will be nice and secure. And if I'm creating something like a baby blanket, then I won't be too worried when the blanket inevitably goes into the washer. So I would rather take the time to weave in all of my ends rather than risk my blanket falling apart in the wash. Not saying that will happen to you, I'm just super paranoid. Surprise! You have your very own coaster. Of course, it would be best if you had the 24/7 cotton like I do, but it would work just as well with acrylic yarn. So if you want to keep practicing the block stitch, go ahead and create a couple more of these and you'll have your very own set of coasters. How's that for a practice swatch?